Well, good afternoon. It's afternoon here anyway. I know you said on the East Coast it's getting to be night. So in this angel book, vision book workshop, it sounds like a simple task, almost like scrapbooking or putting things together, writing visions and goals and other things like that. And that's a lot of it, but it's a lot more significant, really, when you look at the things behind it and the things that come together when you operate the principles and the concepts of that we're going to share today. It's a tool designed to integrate body, soul, and spirit. That's the way we look at it anyway, in order to accomplish as much as you can in life and the greater things of life that are meaningful to you. It is involving a massive scientific world, which I'll explain a little bit, an extremely powerful spiritual realm, which we already know about, involving God and angels and the heavenly host, all that's involved in that. And it's probably things that you've accessed many times before, but just didn't realize it because you just did it naturally or as a course of your daily life. Most people have hopes and desires in life, but they never stay focused long enough on those hopes and desires or engage the limitless power that's available for them to engage to be able to get the things they desire. And that's what we believe, honestly, that this angel book is about. I did my first one, which is more personal, about family, about relationships, about personal things, and I'm working on my second one, which has to do more with business and production in that area, all to help me focus in those areas that I want to get, I want to achieve things in. And so when we integrate these two realms of the scientific realm and the spiritual realm, they complement each other and they give us limitless possibilities of having a life by design. Not a life of reaction, a life of response, a life of going through and just kind of being like a pinball in a machine, just bouncing off everything that gets knocked around, but a life where we can determine what we want to achieve, a life where we can accomplish what we desire to have. As Regina said, I've spent the last 50 years in both scripture and science. 30 years ago, I started to focus more on the scientific side because I didn't understand it. I didn't really know a lot of how it impacts our lives and how we are involved in it. In the 14th to 17th century, the time of the Renaissance in Europe, the Roman Catholic Church ruled and governed everything. But they started to lose grip on several different issues, and the science community started challenging church doctrines and leaders. And one of the big challenges that they came up with, one maybe that sounds the most notable to people, is the astronomer Copernicus decided in the mid-1500s, about the middle of that Renaissance period, he discovered that the sun was the center of the universe. Well, it took the church 800 years to admit that because they said, well, God created the earth, so that's got to be the center of the universe. So they ignored science to their detriment because they could prove now that the sun was the center of the universe. And later on, when Galileo and Da Vinci agreed and published their works, I mean, Copernicus didn't even publish his book until he was on his deathbed because he was afraid of the church. So he published it, and then he died and, didn't have any throwback. But Galileo and Da Vinci later on also proved that the sun was the center, and people began to speak out. And the scientific community said, well, if you guys aren't going to believe what can be proved, then we're not going to follow you anymore. So science and the church just kind of split like that. And, and then of course, with Darwin's concept or theory on evolution, then everybody said, oh, that's the nail in the coffin. Now we can definitely get out and just be scientific and not have to deal with the church. But it was always against church doctrine, not against God. And there's a big difference because the church was preaching doctrine, and that's what they were trying to nail everybody with. But God is the creator of all things. So if things are discovered and things are found and things are proven, like the sun being the center of the universe, then God arranged that. God designed that. So why shouldn't that be incorporated into everything that we deal with? So this was the conflict that went along for so many years, and to me it's ridiculous because if God created everything, then anything science discovers, God created. So there is no division, there is nothing but unity, and whether you call it spirit, the divine matrix, energy field, the law of attraction, whatever, I mean, if it's real and if it's discovered, it's God created it and God designed it. So it's up to me to figure out, what is that design? How can I incorporate that design into my life? No one understood the laws of gravity until Sir Isaac Newton defined them. And yet from the day of creation, we've lived with gravity. But we operate with it. We know that if you jump off a rock, you're going to, go down. And so we operate within that concept of gravity, but then this field of physics started to come up and everything started to be explained in the scientific realm. So there were all these different laws that were explained in the physical realm, and then we operated those things, understood those things, and then about 70 years ago, there was a discovery of another field. A subatomic field that had an energy field that could not be actually seen, and therefore put on on a table or in a piece of paper to try to explain it. But it was something that people had to look at because it was definitely proven, and it was the quantum field. A quantum field that has energy and a lot of amazing properties that if you operate within that field, you get tremendous results. But understanding it and being able to define it and being able to operate, that's what people needed to understand. The biggest part that we play in that operation of the quantum field is from the verse in the scriptures that what you sow, you reap. Okay, very simple concept. What you sow, you reap. What you put in, you get back out. Well, that pretty much explains a lot of the quantum realm function. And it is a big deal, as I'm going to point out here in just a second, that how it works with this angel book. Because, I mean, I've done lectures on this quantum field for a whole week and gone into a lot of detail on the process of how it works with our lives and how it deals with this angel book. And, it really is fascinating and wonderful to be able to apply it once you understand it. Now, when you talk about the realms of possibilities and you talk about the concept of angels, that's the doorway to the manifestation of things in our lives and bringing them to pass. Even in the scriptures, there are verses that back up this concept, but people don't understand how it presents itself. For instance, Mark 11:24 says, when you pray, believe that you already have it and it is yours. Well, that's a major concept in the quantum realm. You see things as if they've already been accomplished. You see them as if they're already been done. Well, that's what Mark 11:24 says, very plainly. Romans 4:17 says, Abraham called those things that were not as though they were. He was believing for a child in his life, and the child had not been born, but he claimed it. He saw that. He saw the vision of a child being his and Sarah's in the process. In Hebrews 11:1, it says, the literal of that verse is that the believing is the title deed to things prayed for, the evidence that they are yours before you have them. Again, a quantum concept. That believing is the title deed, meaning if I go to the bank and I sign my lease for the house, they give me a title deed. That means that house is mine. I have not set foot in that house maybe at that moment because I'm downtown at the bank, but that house is mine. That piece of paper proves that it's mine. That concept that I have the title deed proves that it's mine. Before I've even gotten to the house, it's mine. And so those concepts are major ones in the quantum realm, and they're covered in the scriptures, but most people don't understand or realize how they tie together. In this angel book, what we're doing is putting pictures and quotes and sayings about your desires. and things that make you feel a certain way, that make you feel like you already have it, make you feel like it's already accomplished, make you feel like it's already incorporated into your life. And as you envision that, as you feel it already coming to pass, that's when this process starts to work and you get the manifestation of what you have envisioned. So it's one very tiny part of this thing is called reticular activating system. And you may not have been familiar with those words, but you're familiar with the concept, because once you focus your mind on something and you tell your brain that this is what you want to see, like first time I went downtown, bought a Volvo. Okay, Volvo was the first car I actually owned myself. I'd never really seen Volvos on highway, but let me tell you, once I bought that Volvo and I drove home that day, there were every other car was a Volvo. My reticular activating system, and all that means is my brain says, okay, he wants to see Volvos. Remove all the filters that limit the Volvo and show him Volvos. And I saw Volvos everywhere. They were always there, but I never saw them. So how many things in our life do we not see or manifest just because we're not focused on them? Because our reticular activating system hasn't been tuned in to see what we desire. So that's one of the things that this book's help us. We put things in here that we want to see, that we want to have, that we want to manifest in our life. And your brain says, okay, you want to see that? I'll show you. I'll show you that. I'll show you the way to get to that. I'll show you the way to accomplish that. I'll show you the path that'll take you to that. And then that's when it starts happening. And it sounds mystical, magical, all these other things, but it's simply the scientific design of our brain by God. What he did in the beginning, how he designed our whole brain and everything to function. So when you take this action in your book and you write down sayings that motivate you, sayings that make you feel that way, pictures that make you see those things, that's when those things become, they move from possibilities into real clear visions and then manifested into into reality in your life. And to understand that this is a repeatable process, that when you sow a thought, you reap an unlimited reservoir of possibilities that come to you, that focusing on these things bring that stuff into manifestation in your life. When we talk about spiritual powers, the heavenly host and angel, most people think, well, why would you talk about angels? We only worship God. Well, I understand we only worship God. That's not the concept. The concept is the whole heavenly host is out there, and they're all designed, what is their purpose? They're all designed to help us. They're all designed to help us get things together in our lives. Most people don't realize that in the Old Testament, 4,000 years of the Old Testament, there are 108 references to angels. Now, if God put 108 references, specific references to angels in the scriptures, they must have some importance. They must have some impact. That's just in the Old Testament. In the New Testament, which is only 70 years long, so you got 4,000 years and you got 70 years. In the 70 years of the New Testament, there are 102 references to angels. So how can they not be impactful? How can they not be helpful? How can they not be a part of our lives? And that doesn't even include the book of Revelations, which has got, 70 or 80 references to angels in that one book alone. But we're not going there. We're not in the book of Revelations. I'm just talking about now, in the present time now. So this quantum field, which God created and man just discovered, it's how do we interact with it to get the most massive results in our lives? How do we participate in it to have things come to pass? That reticular activating system, that's a very simple concept. The sow and reap, that's a very simple concept. But there are many, many more concepts to understand. Now, one of the things Regina and I talked about was being able to expand on this. For people that want to expand on it and learn more about it, have something available that they can expand on. So this Thursday, this next Thursday night, what is it? This 27th, Thursday, January 27th, I'm going to do a 1-hour Zoom call that anybody can call into and listen to it. I'm just going to present the basics of the concept of living by design, or quantum living by design, the understanding some of the quantum basics to be able to manifest those in your life. Sometimes they call it a strange science. They call it a weird science. That's what Einstein called it, because he couldn't, at his age, he wasn't really just willing to spend the time to investigate it. But for the last 70 years, as I say, it's been developed and developed into some of the most magnificent things you can imagine in life. And it is really a fascinating world that opens up so much on the concept of manifesting things in your life. Because when you go by, you've got on the top Newtonian physics, which is the physical world around us, and you've got underneath in the subatomic realm, the quantum physics, which is that realm of, I don't know how you would explain it, but it's a realm of wondrous things. In Newtonian realm, you have to go A to B to C to D in a process, a linear process, because that's how things work mechanically in the physical world. But in the quantum realm, you can go from A to M and jump all that stuff by practicing quantum principles. Now, I know that sounds a little far-fetched right now, but if you come Thursday night for an hour, I mean, we'll do probably 45 minutes, and I'll let you ask questions. I can show you exactly how that works and how you are able to process those things. So if you want, you can either leave a note in the chat box if you want, or we'll send something out to everybody that signed up here. But whichever way you do it, if you want to join on Thursday night, then I'll be happy to sit with you and talk to you about this so that you can add that to the experience that we have today to see how to even get more results with your angel book. So that's what I've got.